Let's see if we are live.
Yep, it is.
We are live? All right. Okay. Amazing. I'm gonna share again my screen then. Slideshow. And sharing screen. And you can see it again?
Yeah.
Awesome.
No
Well, welcome everybody. This is our regular community call of the SUMO community. I'm gonna say hi to whoever is in the room and I see them. Hi to Arvin, Ivy, Joe, Fernando, Ray, Maury, Roland, Dennis, and Cindy. For folks that you are watching us on YouTube or Ermo, or you are watching this call afterwards because it's very late on your time zone. Don't take note from Arvin, who is a night bird. Please ask any questions that you have afterwards on Matrix or the community announcement for the call, and we can reply retrospectively. If you are also watching us on YouTube or Ermo, again, ask the questions either directly on YouTube or on Matrix, and I will try to be your voice. I will dive right in because we have quite some things to cover today, and I want to make sure that we have enough time for Q&A. And please, I will have some slides now, and then I will give time for everybody to ask questions. So hold your questions as we go, and we can have an open discussion at the end with every one of you. So this is a little bit our agenda on what we're covering today. Today is a special call about localization and our localization community. So we're gonna quickly go through welcome introductions. We kind of just did. We're gonna take a step back and talk why did we initiate this fresh approach on localization, and when we say fresh approach, what does that mean? What does this machine translation, MT stands for machine translation workflow, stand for? This feedback and training period that we are announcing today that we're very excited about, and a Q&A session with all of you. So again, welcome introductions, just reminders on who we are. We are a big community. We're not just doing localization, we're also helping forums on communities, and we are writing content on and helping the content in updating articles on our knowledge base. We are very grateful for our community folks and all the active support that they're giving us. And if you want to join us, please do. And there are links on the links that are mentioned here on the slides in the YouTube channels for you to follow. Again, if you're watching this retrospectively and you are having questions, you can submit the questions in advance in the post from Kiki. In our community forums, you can submit them on Matrix, or if you're watching this live, you can submit them on Zoom. If you don't want to speak and you would like me to speak on your behalf and raise your question, please add on the chat and I will do so very happily. And again, you can join us on Zoom or watch us live stream or afterwards. So today the call is all about localization, and we wanted to take this moment because we understood that the last few weeks there has been miscommunications and misinterpretation about how the localization process works. So we decided that it's the time to actually talk a little bit more about this and explain to our community on why did we start doing machine translation and localization in the first place, what does this mean, how exactly this process works, and what are the next steps after this. By the way, in the call there is also amazing Abby. Abby is the leader of our content, so she will correct me if I make a mistake regarding the things I say. So I hope I won't, and I will represent us. So why did we need a fresh approach to localization? So parity fell to 38% across co-locals. So what does that parity means? It means that essentially from all the content that was supposed to be localized and updated localized in core locales, only 38% was up to date. So essentially, we had a lot of content that either wasn't localized or it was localized, but it wasn't local. The updates on the content were localized. So a lot of times, RB and the team and the content team are going and make some updates to different articles to keep them fresh. That's called freshness, and give the users updated information on something that changed. That article might have been localized in the past, but it wasn't localized anymore. So that is, when we say 38%, it doesn't mean that only 38% of our articles were localized. It means that they were localized and the localizations, the translations were up to date. That is what we're trying to say with that number. So the problem with that is too many users couldn't find answers in their own language. And that created a user issue. Like, how can we help those users in their own locales? We know that our community was doing an amazing job, and there are locales that weren't 100%, but other locales were falling behind. And that means we were not serving our users. So machine translation helped us close that gap and ensure that the support content stays fresh and accessible for everyone. So if somebody is looking up something in a locale where we don't have a community, or a community wasn't active enough, I don't have something, I think, for example, Afrikaans was a locale that was doing super bad. That locale, that the users that are speaking that language are now able, with machine translation, to find information as they need it. When we're implementing that, we wanted to make sure that community is still in control. We didn't then reject, and I'm gonna go more in detail about how people can do that. So it was very important to us that community could still edit, community could still change the machine translation. We were very aware that machine translation can make mistakes, and we do understand that we need the quality assurance that comes from community localizers to help those users. So we introduced that machine translation workflow back in August, and we did a progressive rollout. What does that mean is that we didn't turn it on for everybody, but we turn it on progressively for locale after locale in order to ensure that we fix issues and implement feedback as we iterate. I see some people are having comments on the chat. I cannot check them right now. I promise I will see them after this presentation. So again, what does content freshness mean? Before we were 38% on core locales, now we're 96% on core locales. That means that our content now is up to date, localized up to date for a lot of more users, and we can help those users. And that's all why we're doing it. Like, that's what also the community is doing it, right? Like, we want to help users, forums, helping the users, localizing, helping the users. And that is why we exist and why we do things in the first place. So I'm going to go through a little bit the empty workflow, and then I'm going to introduce what we're calling the training period. A little bit, some of you might have heard it, but I think it's important that we talk about this again. When machine translation empty for short is enabled in your locale, it automatically translates any article marked as ready for localization. That is known as RFL. That's for you who are already localizers, you know that very well. Then the machine translation also periodically translates outdated or missing translations. All those articles that we said that never had one translation, or all those articles that had outdated translations that Abby, the contributors of like Paul, people like Paul, Flavius, Donna, all those people that they write on the content updated something, the machine will check that, oh, I saw an update from Abby. I need to go and translate that update from Abby on the locale. So the machine translation revision will remain in a review queue in order to give the community time for the review. So a contributor can actually approve this, propose an update. Maybe they say they're like, what you're saying is not correct, let me change that. Or say, you know what, I don't think it's quite correct. I'm going to reject this and write this from the scratch.
Constantina,
Sorry, go ahead.
your audio is like kind of going in and out.
Oh, German internet.
We lost you right at like the propose a new update.
I lost my train of thought. Wait. The second bullet?
So like during the review period, you can either approve it. If you find areas where there is an opportunity to either edit something the machine translation proposed, or a better way to say it in your locale, you can propose an update, or you can just reject it altogether during that review period. Okay, back to you, Constantina.
Thank you, Abby. Sorry, my internet is choppy. Move to Germany, they said. It has better internet, they said. Not the reality. So if the contributor decide to not take any action, or if there is not an active community, or the community will not have enough localizers, the empty version is auto-approved. What is very important here to note is that the user knows that this is an AI translation. The user will see a message that says, this is an AI translation, instead of saying, so the user is aware of what they're seeing, and it was very important to make sure that users knew that. Now, contributors can still edit. So if I, in my Greek craziness, want to go on a Greek article, and after an auto-approved something, I'm like, oh, I see a mistake. You can still go ahead. You can still take it. You can still make the change, and it will be go through the regular process and approved based on your change. So the power stays still with the community on that part. A little bit about principles, like what does that thing called machine translation things? The very important thing is that uses English as the source, which means that the source of truth for take the latest English version, see where are the changes, and translate those changes based on the English version. Also, again, the community stays in control. Like that was a very important thing when the engineers build this. They can approve, edit, or reject it before it goes live. Again, if you miss the window, there is going to be that temporary version. And something last is that for some of you might have noticed it, we have some archived content that gets automatic approval. That only happens for archived documents, not for anything else. Anything else goes through the process. The reason that we decided to go for archived content is archived content can be those articles that they are very, very old and they're very, very non-relevant anymore. Can be about Firefox 3.5. Can be articles that only 2 users might see in a year. We posted asking the community, do you still care or you don't care? We didn't receive any strong feedback, so we decided to automatically approve those archived articles. Again, if the community feels that, hey, I actually still want to see them, you can still take them, you can still change them, you can still make them in the way you want to make them. Last, I want to say how, after all that, we move forward. We understand that localization and machine translation can bring feelings. We understand that a lot of times miscommunication happened. People didn't understand how the process working, backlogs were created, what have you. So what I'm going to talk about now is we are introducing something that we're calling feedback and training period. What is this, Costadina? People will ask. Well, on November 24th, that is this Monday, and unfortunately it means some coding changes, so I cannot turn it on right now. We are temporarily expand the auto approval window from 72 hours to 14 days. Why we're doing this? We're doing this because we want to focus on training. We want to focus on listening, on conversations and educations. So during that period, we have also prepared forms where you can give us feedback. You can tell us feature requests. You can tell us bugs that you're finding. The reason we're doing it like that is because we want to have enough time for you folks to focus on that training period, to focus on giving us feedback, to focus on listening. And we are calling this a feedback training and reflection time. During also that period, it's a time for folks to catch up on any pending reviews that you might have without having the machine translation create more, well, it will create more reviews, but it just will open the window for 14 days instead for 72 hours. That will last from November 24th to December 8th. During that time, Kiki and I are also working on training and education material. We received the feedback that people might want to see some more videos on how things are working, more pictures about how things are working. It's easier for depending on your learner type to understand content. So we're working on that for you folks. And something very important to note here, the auto approval window, once December date, the date on December date, will change to 7 days. So we stopped the 72 hours. We heard the feedback that it's a short time, that people might not have the time in 72 hours to review things that are happening. We're opening on 7 days. And the reason we're doing that is to ensure that we will still get to the users on time, but the community also have enough time, and also a window, a weekend in between, because we understand you're all volunteers, to actually see the changes, make the changes, give us feedback in the process. That was Kostadina talking for roughly 20 minutes. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now so I can check the chat, and I'm gonna open the conversation. If you wanna talk, do raise your hand on a nice Zoom way, or ping on chat, and I will give you the floor. Oh, by the way, Abby, did I miss anything? Did I explain it?
I think you covered it, but excited to hear what you all think, what questions or clarifications we can answer for you, and looking forward to improving this process for you.
Thank you, Abby. I see Dennis has, I guess, Paul's questions in the callers thread is a good point to start. Let me open and see what was Paul's question. I think there was a question around the Japanese community, if I remember correctly. I am going there over there, Dennis. Oh, Michele added also some questions. I will reply to them on due time. So he says, I guess the obvious question is, how did the Japan team situation get resolved? What are the lessons we learned from this? I can reply to that. I talk with some Japanese contributors. We came in an understanding that this was miscommunication. We're still on talking with those folks, and we still want to build with those folks. I understand that people can choose not to continue contributing, and that's absolutely their choice. But this was a full case of miscommunication. We still love to have Japanese contributors, and we're working daily with them on giving them all the resources they need to help them with a code, with a translation. Paul is also saying, are we forging closer links with the main L-tenant teams? Paul, I'm not sure. Do you mean support folks, L-tenant teams, or do you mean like localization, product localization? So Paul, when you watch this, I will also reply to the thread, asking for an explanation exactly on what you mean. And the last question for Paul is, are there any plans to rewrite the KB process to move it more in line with the remain timeline, giving SUMO more chance to produce an edit content in plenty of time and have localized content ready for release? Paul is referring more to the content process that's happening right now, not the localization. Yes, Paul, this is actually what Kiki and I were working closely with Donna and Abby to recreate the process, making sure that this works for everybody. It has taken a quite of a step back because we wanted to ensure that we are implementing the changes that I've just talked about in the localization, the training, the feedback, and what have you. Once that is out there for the localizers, this will take again a priority. We haven't forgotten. I'm talking about that with Abby very often and Donna. It's just the situation right now. We're also a very small team, so we need to prioritize.
Yep, and we've also done some work on our side too with Joe and our product support team on figuring out better ways that we can streamline the release process, which is getting the information we need from the product teams earlier to give all of us and you more time to work on that. So that is something that having been in this industry for 10 years is always a challenge, right? Is getting those communications flows with the product teams to go both ways. And so we'll continue to make improvements. But as Constantina said, I know we're really close, Paul, on the content guidelines for best practices and where we're striving to get to. So more to come there for sure soon from Donna and Kiki.
Any other questions in the room?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Go, Fernando.
Yeah, it's just to be sure, if we have a volunteer who want to do translate, how can they find the resource they need to translate or review? Is the similar process to translate English document in the SUMO website?
I'm not sure I understood fully the question, Fernando. Do you mean how the process works now, or what do you mean by resources?
For example, right now when the user take one document to translate in English or Spanish, in the SUMO website, we have a auction, the auction called base knowledge, something like that, and exists a table when the user can take all the resource or document that needed there to translate. So my question is about that. If we have a volunteer who want to translate, where they find the document or resource to translate that?
That's a good question. I can share with you the links that explain the whole process or how you can find the specific locales, all the dashboards on the articles that you want to translate. So it depends, like different locales have different dashboards that says those are the articles that have been translated by MT, those are the articles that are pending translation, and so on. So there is like a dashboard for you. And we have full KB articles explaining that process. So I'm gonna share with you, Fernando, like how you can start. And if you have any questions, again, Kiki and I are always here for you, and we can take it from there.
Thank you.
I think that was something too that Michelle had flagged in one of the discussion forums, was just onboarding of new contributors. Like when a user sees that disclaimer that the article was machine translated, that may prompt people to become interested in improving our content and filling in gaps, which was another way for us to kind of expand quality translation. And so I think that's something during this next feedback and review period, as we're calling it, I would love to hear more about, is just like you all as locale leaders or like really strong localizers, like what can we do to better help you onboard more people into your locales or help other locales, whether it's cleaner dashboards, better training videos, like we want to know like how we can help you. So definitely keep that in mind. And I know Constantina will be sharing out a form that we're going to use to collect feedback in a really organized way to make sure that we can continue to provide status updates to you, let you know exactly what we're doing with your feedback and how we're implementing that into the product and the system itself.
Yeah, and keep the feedback coming, by the way, because we're building the training. We're starting building the training right now. So like Fernando, this is a very good example, like where can I find this, right? So that is a good prompt for Kiki and I when we start the training and say, here's where you find stuff. Here's how you do stuff. Here's your video. And I click here. Like, so please do keep the feedback, the feature requests, the bugs that you find in the process coming. So I will iterate. So Dennis says, we have at least 2 known issues with ML translations. It may touch UI, Elton mentioned in the article, and not in a good way. Yes, we are aware. I think that is the bug about the menu. There is a bug open about this. It's getting fixed by the team. It does not respect the actual change made. It tries to translate the whole article, changing in it places that may have not been touched in the content update. Are those issues being worked on? Regarding one, would it make sense to replace strings with special elements that will pull translations directly from GitHub? Dennis, if you can, I think that you're mentioning that bug that we are already aware of, but if you can actually add more information about this, much appreciated, and I will also share it on the forum for you to do so, because I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing, but I want to make sure what bug you are talking about. Second one, it says it does not respect actual changes made. So here's the thing. This is an issue that it has brought up periodically. Machine translation goes and translates from the original English article. So any kind of additional information a localizer might have added in the localized article, machine translation doesn't understand that this is extra information and will go and change it. That is logical. Machine translation thinks about the English article, so tries to localize on the English article. So in order, when I would very well ask the localizers. I am to understand why localizers add extra content. They want to make it more accessible, give more information. They might think some information is missing and they add that. But my recommendation to you is, as a localizer, if you want to add extra context, do add it on the original English article. And the reason we're asking you to add it on the original English article is because you might have a very good idea that the rest of the locals need to know. So if as a Greek, I would like to add a little bit more extra content to make the content more understandable for users, machine translation won't understand that, and that's by design. It tries to reflect the English article. So please, instead of adding on your locale, go and make a change, not make a change, request a change on the original article. So Abby is aware, it's like, yes, this crazy Greek actually makes sense here. Let me add that context that she's adding. And the rest of the locales know also about this, not only the Greek locale. That would be my case. Does that make sense? Okay, Dennis continues. I'm the voice of Dennis. It's not about just extra content. It's about existing translations and may not match the LLM version. It will just change anything that has already been approved. That's not where it helps is needed. It was also mentioned by Michele.
Can I show an example of this and see if I understand exactly what you're asking? Okay. So this is one that I just updated the English article today, and it's submitted a machine translation. So I clicked into the draft. So you can see here, the author is showing a SUMO bot, and I can go to the revision. And it's not translating everything. It's translating the things that we changed. But are you saying, because for example, there was a typo here in the word explanation, and it highlighted the entire paragraph? I guess I'm trying to understand, this shows you exactly what changed and what didn't. And it didn't change everything in the article. It only changed the parts that we changed in the English version. So is the issue that it's showing all of this that didn't change when really it's just this? Or is the issue that there was something in the old German translation of this article that didn't get caught because it wasn't in the English version? Because I think these are two separate issues, if I'm understanding correctly. I don't know if anyone has any context on that.
I think Dennis is probably typing. There we go. It's not the issue. I'm sure I've seen some examples. I'll try to find them for you and probably reach out later. Yeah, thank you, Dennis. That's actually very helpful. Do report the examples so we understand what's going on.
Yep. Is there any questions while we're on the page though? Does this make sense to seeing it in this way, similar to how we saw it before? Does this still work? Those are the types of things that we want to understand from you. Like, we radically didn't change the system. It's just who was proposing the revision. So yeah, I would just be curious on any feedback specifically as you're going through the flow and the process of translating an article. Would love to know. Roland.
I love the 7-day idea because volunteers do work on the weekends and after hours and stuff like that. And thank you for that hard work in your second job as a volunteer in Mozilla. I was wondering if there is a feature, which I may have missed, that will tell locale leaders that an auto-translated thing is going to expire. Maybe not now, but for the 7-day thing, it'd be cool if I, as a locale leader, got an email saying, hey, we're about to approve this auto-translation. Please look at it. It makes more sense to do it with a 7-day period than a 72-hour period. Like maybe day 6 or day 5.
You cut out a little bit, Roland. Were you saying that you want like sending
a reminder email day 5 when we move to a 7-day window would be my preference if such a thing can be easily done or can be considered.
Yeah, and I think that's back to like, I want to better understand how you all are using whatever method you're using to translate. So whether you're looking at the dashboards, whether you would want email notifications, what I don't want is you to get flooded with 60 emails a week reminding you about these things when you could go to a dashboard and very clearly see it. So thinking about the dashboard.
Yeah, that's true.
Are there better views for that? Different filters, ways to prioritize the content within those dashboards? Would love to hear more from all of you during this period about that too. And just how can we make sure that you're working on the content that has the most impact and prioritize it accordingly, using traffic, etc.
Thank you, Roland. I see there's some questions on the original post. Michele added a long one. I think that is what Dennis is suggesting. I need to read it fully before I reply. But there is a comment that I wanted to address. Mark is saying, I fully agree with Michele's opinion that locals should be able to opt out of MTS and translator. Auto-translation will make me feel like a backup. So here's the thing. Auto-translation is the backup of you, not the other way around. And I want to emphasize that because there has been a lot of conversations around it, but there are locales that they are very active, like 100%. Why are we doing this? The thing is that even with the very active locales, we still have very small number of contributors. If something happens to those contributors because life happens, and I really don't wish anything bad to happen to those people, we do need a safe net to ensure that those articles will still be translated. That is what machine translation and the auto approval process is. It is a safe net. It is a way for us to ensure that something will still go out to the users. That is why we didn't have community to opt out from it, because I know that all of you have very good intentions, and there are many of you that are hitting 100% all the time. What happens if something happens, if life happens to you and you cannot do that? We need to have a way for critical articles to be out on time, to make sure that when we're changing a big thing, and that is a big thing for a specific locale, wherever locale is, those users know, and they don't end up in a forums in language we don't understand. And we try to translate, machine translate using Google Translate in our forums, trying to understand what this user is saying to us, because they didn't have a chance to self-serve. Forums are great, and I do have massive appreciation for people that were on forums. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to ensure that the user can find information on their own. So machine translation, you're not the backup of the machine translation. The machine translation is the backup for you. That is why we have the whole system. If we wanted to make it the backup of machine translation, we would auto-approve everything and tell you if you want it, just go and translate it whenever you have time. We didn't do that. We actually created a process where you can still reject. You can still say, I don't want to do this machine translation. I will write it because I'm a translator. Do it. There is a reject button. We want, by the way, to understand also when you are rejecting something, like you're rejecting because there are small changes, you're rejecting because they're big bugs. So if you find like this doesn't make sense in my language, I need to change it, please, 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 please file the bugs and tell us it doesn't make sense in your language, because then we need to check what the machine translation is doing in your language. So when you see something that, hey, doesn't make sense at all, I need to translate this from the scratch because that bot created a mess, do file the bug, do let us know. And we can actually take it from there.
I think one other thing also to keep in mind is like, as we are getting through the backlog of the outdated content, there's going to be more volume, but at some point we're going to hit the threshold where active locales are going to be able to probably keep up with the workload that we have, right? Like there's not going to be all of these old articles that we need to get translated into the latest version. It's more going to be keeping up with new and recent updated articles with on and off train releases. And so this like temporary pain of feeling like there's this big backlog will not be there forever. Ideally, we're up and running and we're back to like, oh, wow, we have a fully awesome staffed locale team for each of our priority locales that is just able to use machine translation to help save them time. So maybe they can work on more complex translations or recruiting new contributors in their locale. And so again, the idea was not to replace anyone. It was to help fill the gap for users, but also to make your job easier along the way. So just thinking about it too, is like, this is kind of like a temporary stopgap while we get caught back up. And especially just another side note on that, as we are working through just like updating the entire English KB to get updated, because we have really low freshness scores as well there. This was a way to get some of that content translated with, again, that overloading your workloads while we're trying to get the knowledge base just in a better place overall.
Any other questions? Yes, Dennis, like whenever you want to add feedback, there's going to be a form. You can also reach out to us directly. You know where to find us. We don't hide. So do ping us, do let us know what you think. And I have the commitment to bring all your feedback. And whoever is adding more feedback afterwards, I will make sure to translate those feedback and give them to the team. Here we go. I also have a question related to the content process. I had a couple of cases when I worked on and updating an article only to get the original almost completely rewritten in several days, and I had to go through all the process again. Do you consider publishing some roadmaps of your reviews? Yes, that will be part of the whole process about how the content works. And me and Abby are gonna explain on like how we are doing those reviews and everything. It's part of what I have explained that Kiki and I are doing and working with Donna closely to explain the whole process and what we're updating and what we're not. So yes, Dennis, we will. I don't think it makes sense for me to go through nitpicking here with Abby. We will need to understand exactly the article and give you feedback and understand what exactly you mean. It might take us quite some time. But the quick answer on this is yes.
Can I just ask a clarifying question, Dennis? Is this like related to just like an on-train release, or is this about like the content audit that we're doing on a broader scale? Because yes, we do have lists of articles, content audit. Okay. Yes, we do have, we were working through essentially the buckets of like most helpful, least helpful, and all of the links that are linked to from in product. I think we're pretty much done with phase one, but to your point of like sharing the roadmap of the review, I think that could be helpful. We'd also love to have the community's help in doing content audits. So if there's interest in bandwidth, we can definitely talk about ways to make that happen in the future. So heard, understood, and we can follow up async on the specific example that you have.
I will reply to an actual question that just came in, and then we need to wrap up the call. Somebody is asking if an active locale doesn't want MT, can we request to turn the process off? Again, no. And this is not because we don't trust you. This has nothing to do with the trust of our current localizers. It is a safety net. We need to ensure that the articles will still go out. So essentially, we do know that you all have the best intentions in your mind. We do know that you all want to translate and be on time, but we need to also ensure that users are going to be served. That is why that safety net is out there. I don't know, Abby, if you want to add anything. All right. I'm gonna give a summary. As I said, we are gonna announce this very word-mouthy period. Sorry, I named it and I don't remember the name. The feedback and training period. That is the announcement is gonna go out tomorrow. I'm not doing the announcement now because it's getting late on my time zone, and I want to ensure that I reply to feedback as they come and not just close my laptop and be by. So the announcement is gonna go out to all the community with a form, with how exactly this is gonna work. Reminder, while the announcement goes out tomorrow, we're not starting it until Monday because Amazing Tassos and Amazing Ryan need to do some code changes in order to open that period. Again, a reminder, once this period is over, we are switching to 7 days of the review period. And yes, please keep the questions coming. I'm very happy to reply. If you have any feature requests, do give them to us. If you find bugs, do let us know. If you are saying, I found another way in order to do that notification you guys are doing, do let us know how we can solve the problem. Like Roland also just suggested a feature. He's our first feature submitter. So do please come with those questions. In the next days, Kiki and I are gonna work also on the trainings. We are planning to a little bit bombard you with communications to ensure that you all are aware this is happening. So I apologize if you see all my notifications. I do it so everybody sees the notifications. And thank you very much, everybody, for being in this call. Thank you, Abby, for being here and giving comments. Thank you, Fernando and Dennis, for asking questions. Thank you, Arvin, because it's super late over there and I don't know how you're doing it. And overall, thank you, everyone, for asking the questions and being here. Thank you all for all you do.
Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.
Bye, see you, take care.